Well, good morning, everyone, again, and welcome to our January session of Mornings with Sacred Silence. This program comes once a month and is co-sponsored by the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center of Arkansas. Just a reminder to those of you who may be joining us for the first time, the Arkansas House of Prayer is an interfaith haven set apart in nature, dedicated to contemplative prayer, meditation and silence, and we're all are welcome. And the Interfaith Center's mission, which was began its work in 2011, is an organization whose mission is to reduce fear and hatred among the world's religions by promoting education, dialogue, and relationship building opportunities among people of different faiths. Again, for those who may be serving as the executive director of the House of Prayer. And for our session this morning, we're just so grateful to have Annabelle Ember Tuck back with us again to share her wisdom. Annabelle, just a little bit about Annabelle. Annabelle received her undergraduate degree from Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts, and then her Jewish doctorate degree from the University of Arkansas, Little Rock. Her claim to fame following that is that she was appointed as she was elected as the first woman to the, and she served there for a number of years before retiring. And then, of course, she was inducted into the Arkansas Women's Hall of Fame in 2018. But her wonderful background certainly has put her on the path to interfaith work and dialogue and sharing wisdom and growing in wisdom in her own tradition and then sharing that. She currently serves on the board for the Interfaith Center, and we certainly, again, are grateful that she is here this morning to share her wisdom. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Annabelle, and then I'll continue to let folks in who join us. Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you. And just to let you all know, if Sister Deborah disappears, it's because her internet is unstable and she may take her photo off, her video off. So it's not because she's not interested. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I have always enjoyed joining you. I have, the reason I don't on other Tuesdays is because I have a walking date at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm so pleased not to have that walking date this morning. It is so cold. So anyway, things work out fairly well, don't they? Anyway, I'd like to read you a prayer on waking. I'm presuming none of us have a midnight to 7 job. And so I'm going to give you this prayer, and then we're going to have a couple of minutes of settling in and silent meditation. Then I'll call you back together and I'll do my presentation. This is a prayer on waking. God of creation, grant me a gentle day, a kind and a sweet day, a day of light and breath, a day of love and service. Holy One, thank you for renewing me to life, for restoring my soul to my body, and for returning me in joy and gratitude to your gifts and blessings. Let's slowly come back together. Gratitude. We have just woken up and our souls have been restored to us for another day, another gift. And as many of us know, me included, when I wake up, I take it for granted that I will wake up. So the Hebrew term for gratitude is hakarat hatov, which literally means recognizing the good. The good is already there. And so it's already present and waiting for us to recognize it and become aware. Now, if you've lost your job, but you still have your family and health, you still have something to be grateful for. If you can't move around except in a wheelchair, but your mind is as sharp as ever, you have something to be grateful for. If your house burns down, but you still have your memories, you have something to be grateful for. If you've broken a string in your violin and you still have 3 more, you have something to be grateful for. That sounds so aspirational, so idealistic, because we all know that we tend to focus on deprivation. If you focus on gratitude, you discover with clarity how much good there is in your life. Whatever you are lacking will still be missing, that we don't deny that. We're not in denial. And in reaching for gratitude, no one is saying you ought to put rose-colored glasses on to obscure those shortcomings. The obstacles to appreciating the good can also be very real, especially when life is riven with suffering. But it's worth the effort to practice gratitude, especially since the one who benefits most is the one who is suffering. You. Recognizing the good affirms life and more, because when you see the good in the world, it sets your heart free to soar, to shout, to sing a song of life. Now, as I said, most of us tend to focus heavily on the deficiencies in our lives, that we barely perceive the good that counterbalance them. This tendency, as we know, is bolstered by advertisers who attempt to convince us of just how inadequate and lacking we really are, in the hope that we will try to plug our wants and needs by buying some product or other. We all know this, and we know that this kind of advertising is particularly effective with young people who have not had life's experience. There is no limit to what we don't have. And if that is where we focus, then our lives are inevitably filled with endless dissatisfaction. And it's also true that even if we are aware of our gifts, we tend to grow callous to those fine things that pepper our lives. So after a little while, we tend to take them for granted. Um, and then when they're lost, we we suffer because we didn't really treasure them while we had them. And you know that there's a proverb which, who is rich, is the question, and the answer is the person who rejoices in their own lot. Now, if you live like that, you will soon discover that you want to give thanks for anyone or anything who has benefited you, whether they even intended it or not. Imagine a prayer of thanks springing to your lips when the driver in the next car lets you merge without protest. I've had that experience. Or when there is electricity to light your room or the food is adequate. So giving thanks can become a flow that waters the fields of life. And it's a sign that the heart has been made right and whole. And I say that because this is going to your very soul of how you appreciate every gift that is given to us. Now, gratitude cannot coexist with arrogance, resentment, or selfishness. And there's a master in the Musar movement, Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who writes, gratitude rejoices with her sister joy and is always ready to light a candle and have a party. I love that. Gratitude doesn't much like the old cronies of boredom, despair, and taking life for granted. So even, as I'm going to call it, the old sages, their wisdom was as relevant today as it was 1,000 years ago. Now, there's a wonderful story by a rabbi in Eastern Europe. He would replace a pair of worn out shoes. He would neatly wrap up the old ones in newspaper before placing them in the trash. And he would declare, how can I simply toss away such a fine pair of shoes that have served me so well these past years? And I can say for myself, I don't know if any of you have a relationship with your vehicle, but when you have this long standing, very reliable, my first car was a Toyota, and we're talking 1971, okay? And that Toyota ferried me for many, many miles. And you know, when I had to admit that my turquoise Toyota had to go to the junkyard, it was really hard. So this is kind of the thankfulness even to inanimate objects that have served you so well. Now, going to the Bible, when Leah, the wife, of course, of Jacob, had her fourth child, she named him Yehuda, which means I am grateful. And that name, of course, has eventually become the name Jew, Yehuda. So I wanted to share with you, and I just did it before we began. In Judaism, we recite blessings for everything, from the most mundane activities like eating to the most extraordinary, like seeing a rainbow or the ocean. But it helps us focus and appreciate that which we might otherwise take for granted. So I've given you the blessing already on waking. Now I'd like to share with you the blessing, the praise of a new day. Praise the new day, a gift of the source of all being, the breath of life, the soul of the universe. Let us cherish the moments and sanctify the hours, blessing joys, honoring the tears, lifting our hearts in song, raising our voices in thanksgiving to magnify faith and practice acceptance, to offer consolation and to seek wisdom, to become a well of healing, a beacon of kindness, a source of forgiveness, a light of wonder and wisdom, soul of the universe, breath of life, source of all being. We praise the new day, a gift of holiness and love. And as with many traditions, I know from my sisters who I've frequented many times, and I'm sure the Sisters of Mercy are the same thing. There is an order of Thanksgiving each day. On waking, the morning, the noon praise, and the evening praise, and even the middle of the night praise. So it's very similar actually to Islam, praying 5 times a day. It all of all religions have these methods for us to step back and appreciate. So I wanted to share with you, we all know gratitude doesn't come easy. Life presents its challenges. I call it, the kicks in the stomach that almost feel impossible to bear. We have to when we are trying to practice an attitude, we make an effort to heighten our awareness of the gifts we already possess and relieve ourselves of the exhausting pursuit of as we know, of the ever receding targets of those things that we lack. We're always going to lack. That's never going to end. No wonder gratitude satisfies the soul. It frees us from this compulsive grasping and gives us back our lives. And there's a rabbi who it's a book called Duties of the Heart. And Rabbi Pakuda tells us that there isn't a person alive who hasn't been given gifts. If only the gifts of life and hope. But we tend to suffer a kind of blindness that keeps us from seeing and appreciating what we have. And he sets forth 3 reasons that we fail to see the abundance in our lives. First, we tend not to feel appreciative because we are too absorbed in worldly things and in the enjoyment of them. He points out that physical pleasures can never be fully gratified. So we pursue them endlessly, and that keeps us from gratitude, from the attitude of gratitude. Second, we are so used to our gifts. I mean, I just am always amazed at, I don't have to go out and draw the water from the well and do what my grandmother had to do all day just to wash the clothes. I go to my laundry in my home. I don't even have to go to a laundromat. And I put my clothes in there, and magic. All of a sudden, I have clean clothes, you know? And that took an all-day affair with the whole family. So we take all of this for granted. We don't really see those gifts, and they appear to us as permanent, as typical, as unremarkable features of our lives. Because we just take them for granted, we don't see all the good that's in our lives. And third, we are so focused on the travails and the afflictions that we suffer in this world. And we forget that both our very being and all we own are among the good things that have been given to us. None of this is ours. It was we didn't quote earn it on our own. It's a gift. And it's a gift that needs to be appreciated. I will tell you, and some of you know, my husband of blessed memory, Ariel, died suddenly in 2001. And someone asked me, you know, why did this happen to you? And I said, the question is not why. The question is, why not? I'm just like everybody else. I suffer loss. And that is a part of living, is the treasure of living. If we could live forever, it wouldn't be nearly as important and as much of a treasure to us if we could live forever. So this voice, Rabbi Bakuda, from, as I say, a millennium ago, is saying things that seem to be equally applicable to our lives today. Isn't he pointing out the common feeling of entitlement? That word is used so much now, that keep many of us from recognizing the good and being grateful. Now, there's even what I would call a more radical kind of gratitude. It might sound a little strange, but it is, do we really know what's good and bad? When we say something is bad, you know, my mother used to say, look at the silver lining in the dark cloud. Well, how useful are these categories? We cheer for the good things that happen to us and mourn for the bad. But are we really in a position to pass such clear judgment as to which is which? And to be honest with you, I don't like dualities. I think everything kind of has a mix, this duality business of dark and light, good and bad. Most of life is, mixed with all of it. Um, how certain can we be something that happens to us is really for our good and something else for our bad? So I want to I want to read a poem by W.S. Merwin that includes these lines, and it's very challenging. It's challenging to me, and I'm sure it will be to anyone else. It's called Thanks. Back from a series of hospitals, back from a mugging. After funerals, we are saying thank you. After the news of the dead, whether or not we knew them, we are saying thank you. In a culture up to its shin in shame, living in the stench it has chosen, we are saying thank you. How about that? That's pretty radical. How can that be? Why on earth would anyone want to say thank you for the police at the back door, the beatings, the crooks, the animals dying around us, and the forest falling faster than the minutes? But what this poet is proposing isn't easy or natural, because I said the poet is challenging those simple certainties of good and bad. And so it's a bigger picture than we can ever know. It's the mystery. So we're not going to ever know that whole picture. And so I really take to this. In many ways, maybe some of you have looked back on something that happened to you in the past that was just extremely painful and said, what was that? How has that given me the opportunity to grow? How I learn how to respond in different ways to negativity, pain, suffering. And I'm always amazed. I have friends who have what I call, ongoing illnesses that make their lives, different than mine. And I'm always in awe of them as they take each day, they're present fully in each day, and they have the gifts they have and they see them. They don't focus on what they don't have. I will tell you there is a story of, many families in the Holocaust. Many of them were sent to Siberia. The Russians sent them to Siberia. And these were Jews, of course. And guess what? That saved them from the Holocaust. They were not in Poland anymore. They were not there their lives were spared. Now, I will tell you, if I was sent to Siberia, that would be, I would not be a happy camper. But they were able to survive, and it was life that was the gift. So, so saying thank you. Now, this isn't about being Pollyanna. This isn't about um, we need to be realists, of course, of what they're. But I guess what I want to kind of bring to the fore is that we need to realize the possibility of good from things that happen. The possibility of good. And that means you're not just automatically saying, this is bad, this is good. The possibility of good from even terrible circumstances, even though it may not be visible at this moment. And we have a tendency to, as I said, live our lives mired in our feelings of deprivation. And of course, our current consumer culture and all of that really doesn't help us get beyond that. No one has to look far to find someone who has more money or is taller, healthier, or luckier in love. Comparing ourselves like this can create bitterness in the soul as we poison ourselves with judgment, grasping, and self-recrimination. Cultivating gratitude counterbalances this tendency. And so an attitude of gratitude, you've probably heard that before. The goal is to do the work it takes to weave thankfulness deeply into everyday existence. Everyday, ordinary days. Thank you for allowing me to wake up. Thank you for the cold. And I'll tell you, I don't love the cold any more than most people in the South, but guess what it does? It actually helps nature do what nature needs to do, which is, we hope, eliminate some of the insects that we will encounter in the summer, okay? And allows, I mean, life, birth and death are life. And so our winter is our time of restoration through death. So it's the inner attitude we maintain. The very essence of gratitude lies in the heart and not in behavior. It's internal. Gratitude is internal. Yeah, we can say thank you. We can express that attitude. But an inner attitude of thankfulness provides us with resources that help us face whatever we encounter in our lives. Whether, it helps us orient ourselves to the resources we have, not what we lack. An attitude of optimism and joy ensues, and it is to foster that outlook that we practice gratitude throughout our day. The intention is that the seeds we plant in practice will sprout, and that we will find ourselves experiencing flashes of gratitude as we go about the ordinary activities of our life. So I'm going to read you a poem, and what I want to do is go straight from that poem into the meditation time. And so I want to ask you to consider maybe 1 or 2, 3 experiences in the past year. Look back. in the past year of maybe something that was not so good. And you're looking back now, what was there in that that I could be grateful for? That's a little bit challenging, but I'm sure you can find something. And meditate on not just your gratitude for what's very obvious, but what can you be grateful for that seemed at the time to be a negative? And if you want to go back beyond 2023, please feel free. So I'm going to read this poem um, that is called An Amazing Life. This is an amazing life, a gift of moments, precious and dear, profound in joy, profound in sorrow. This is an amazing life, a gift of moments, glorious and holy, rich in laughter, rich with tears. This is an amazing life, a gift, a song, a fantastic story of solitude and adventure, a tale of darkness and light, a psalm of frailty and endurance, a poem written in time and motion, in stillness and silence, in shouts and whispers, in mourning and wonderful celebration. This is an amazing life, a river of blessings, a gift to cherish its awe and wonder. Blessed are the gifts of life. Blessed is the giver of life. Blessed is this amazing life. If you would like to slowly return to our gathering, please do. And I'd like to take the last few minutes we have and open up for anyone who wishes to share their experience in this particular practice, meditation practice. So please feel free if you'd like to share, just come up, open your video and raise your hand and I will recognize you. Paul.
When you mentioned the thing about the violin strings, I was reminded that there's a piece that my kids and their teachers sometimes played called Air on a G string. Only one string on the violin that's used. Yeah, I thought that was kind of, and it's an incredibly beautiful piece with just one string.
Right, right. Catherine.
I think that some of the most wonderful things that happened in my life started out with my wanting to say to them, no, not this, not this, not this. And your talk reminded me of how much of every single day is just a mystery. And if we can bring gratitude to it, that really helps us more than anything else. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, I'm grateful to all of you. As usual, when you do a presentation or do some studying to share, I benefited tremendously from this because it is a dark time, not just winter, but in the world. And especially in Ukraine and Israel and Gaza. And it causes me great grief that so many people are suffering. And what I can do or not do, I have to figure out how I can make my contribution, maybe not to world peace, but at least to peace where I am. And I can say that I am extremely grateful to the Arkansas House of Prayer and the Interfaith Center for the work that has been done to promote understanding among faiths in this community. I have very close friends who are Muslim, and it has really been challenging for all of us to figure out how to be with each other in our respective places as individuals, as members of a particular people, as members of the human family and of the universe. So I wanted to share my gratitude for a teaching which is, as usual, never completed. You're never going to tie up the bow and take care of anything. It's continuing. Thank you very much.
Annabelle, we thank you. You've definitely been the flow that's watering the field of life for us this morning. So we thank you so much. Your wisdom will carry us not only this day, but so many days ahead. And again, we couldn't remind folks that we have another wonderful opportunity to hear from Dr. Robert Barris this coming Sunday. It's 2:30 Central Time, and he has done several workshops for us in the past. And his theme also is how to really walk in joy with this amount of suffering that we see in the world. So we look forward to him. And I think it was Annabelle who helped introduce us to Dr. Barris.
Yes.
So
Dr.
again,
part of the research. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you again. Thank you all. And then we'll be back next Tuesday for our 30-minute practice. So again, thank you all for joining us.
Catherine.
Oh, Catherine, sorry.
Dr. Barris is on Zoom. Do we need to register ahead of time?
I guess she was just waiting.
Hello?
Yeah. Yes, you should have received. Hello, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I received
You
an
should have.
email.
Yes. Yes, there's the email, and within the email is just a program.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.